So in the range of motion video, I forgot to demonstrate the passive and the resisted range of motion, so I wanted to make sure that I covered that in the online videos before lab this week. So I'm going to have the patient supine for passive, and what I'm going to do is have the patient completely relax, and I'm going to move him into cervical flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation. So for flexion, I'm just going to put my hands behind the patient's head. He's going to completely relax, and I'm just going to push him maximally into cervical flexion. For extension, he's going to come all the way off the table, so scoot down towards me. Good, and that's just because the table is going to limit his cervical extension, so scoot a little bit further. Good, and completely relax. And I'm just going to bring him down into cervical extension. From here, I can bring his ear to his shoulder for cervical lateral flexion. So remember, we want to do bilaterally, the left, and then the right hand side. And then from here, I can go into cervical rotation. So he's going to completely relax. I have a hand on top of his head, and I'm just going to gently rotate him to the left. I'm going to switch my hands and rotate him to the right. Go ahead and lay all the way flat on the table. Next, for resisted range of motion, we want to make sure that he's going through the entire range of motion. So it's not going to be the break test where I'm going to try to resist against him completely where he can't move. I want to make sure he's still going through that full range but still providing a light resistance. So for cervical flexion, I'm going to stabilize his shoulder. I'm going to use 2 fingers, and I'm going to ask him to bring his chin to his chest. All the way up. Good. For extension, he's going to slide somewhat off the table. I'm going to have his hand just resting in my hand. And he's going to push down into extension. Go ahead and push. Again, just using 2 fingers to lightly resist him. You can scoot down. For lateral flexion, so if I wanted to measure the resisted right side lateral flexion, I'm going to bring him all the way to the left. And I'm just going to take 2 fingers and I'm putting it on the side of his head. He's going to push into the right, all the way through. Good, stabilizing his shoulder. And then I'm just switching, so I'm stabilizing with my right hand and then applying 2 finger resistance. Good. For rotation, I'm going to bring him back into neutral. I'm going to put one hand underneath his head, and I'm going to gently apply light pressure at the top of his head. If I wanted to measure left side resisted rotation, I'm going to bring him all the way to the right, and he's going to push into rotation on the left hand side. Go ahead. All the way over. Good. And then I'm just going to switch my hands. Again, 2 fingers here. Go ahead and push. Good. So that would be for passive and resisted range of motion.